Thank you very much, Carla. As you guys know, Carla Howell is our National Libertarian Party Executive Director. I've been the Executive Director of the Libertarian Party of Washington State for less than 3 months, and I know how hard it is. So I can only imagine how difficult a job it is to run a national political organization. Everyone, please give Carla a round of applause again. Now, I've written a book called Libertarian Leadership, and in this book I have a chapter on mentorship, which I think is a very important subject we talk about and a very important concept for the Libertarian Party. The idea of mentorship is to learn a topic yourself and then train someone else, teach someone else how to do that same thing. Learn a task and teach someone else how to do it. And I'm a true believer in it, and I believe in it so much I put it into action. The next speaker that's going to come up is my apprentice executive director, taking the knowledge, because I'm only one of a handful of state executive directors from around the country. We need more. We need more people who know how to do this stuff and how to run the party and grow the party and actually advance liberty. Now, in 2011, right after I was elected Northern Vice Chairman, Libertarian Party of California, I got a volunteer request that came through. I mean, someone went to the National Party website and filled in that they want to volunteer. I contacted him a month later, and he started volunteering with me on a remote basis. Like, he lived in Southern California, I lived in Northern California, and he stuck with me through this entire time, volunteering his time to advance liberty. He's very passionate about it, someone that I've grown to look up to myself, even though he's my apprentice. Just his persistence and determination, and that is Taylor Dalton. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Great. My name is Taylor Dalton, and I am the Apprentice Executive Director of the Libertarian Party of Washington. We're all here today because we believe in an idea that brings people of all walks of life together, an idea that this party is working tirelessly to advance, and that is that liberty brings prosperity. In 2008, I was introduced to Ron Paul, and in 2011, I reached out to the Libertarian Party. And that's when Michael Pickens contacted me, and I've been working with them ever since. How can one person change the world, I asked myself. If we believe in ourselves, we can accomplish anything. I have the honor of introducing someone I believe can make the change we want to see in the world today. He has served as an Orange County Superior Court judge, has been largely outspoken against the drug war, ran for office as the vice presidential candidate of the Libertarian Party, and is a strong advocate for individual freedom in our personal lives. He is a true fighter and defender of liberty. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Judge Jim Gray.
Lame game. That wasn't the song they were supposed to play. I am a libertarian. What's more, I am proud to be a libertarian for every reason I can think of, and I know you are too. We are gaining traction with our party, with our leadership, and with our issues. I do believe that we should take credit when we are victorious. For example, and again, may I applaud you here in Washington with regard to regulating marijuana like alcohol. We should take credit for that openly. We should take credit as this movement, and it is a movement, for marriage equality is gaining status around the world. We should take credit for those. Those are our issues. And honestly, I believe deeply that we are in the mainstream of American political thought. We are both financially responsible and socially accepting. About 85% of the voters in our country fit that description. So we just need to get those words out to those folks. You know, I really was proud, deeply honored to be selected by Governor Gary Johnson and you to be the vice presidential candidate this past election. And we traveled a lot and we talked to an awful lot of people. Not enough, but we did our best. But I really think that so many people, when they went to the polls, yes, probably 80% of the people that went to the polls in our country didn't even know who we were. And that's, of course, a major problem. We were outspent 1,000 to 1. The media had their own selected winners, etc. But had we been known, we would have done famously well. I think probably, this is just me, maybe 60% of the people that put an X by Obama's name were just voting against Romney. Probably 60% of the people that put an X by Romney's name were just voting against Obama. They never would have voted for the other one, but they would have voted for Governor Gary Johnson had we been seen as viable. We had to be in the presidential debates. We had a plan to do that, we brought a lawsuit to do that, and we were not successful. Had we been seen as viable, I think we would have been extremely competitive. We could even have, under this climate, these circumstances, and these problem areas, had Governor Gary Johnson been seen as viable, I think we could very well have won this. And honestly, I'm so disappointed. I was so anxious to be able to debate against Joe Biden, and it didn't work. But they see, really, around the country, the brand is that a Democrat just doesn't have a brain. And a Republican doesn't have a heart. Well, I am here with good people and saying fearlessly and without contradiction that libertarians have both a brain and a heart. We are the ones that will gain this country. We must. Our country needs us, no, what we stand for, what we believe, and what we represent. And I have good news for you. I really believe that Governor Gary Johnson will be running for president again in the year 2016. We are on campus tours. In fact, the last 2 weeks, the governor and I, really for the first time together, because during the campaign we were almost never together. But we were together and we went for the first week to universities in the Midwest. Second week we were at universities in the Rocky Mountain states. And as he says, he loves to be, and I love to be around students. They get it. They really do get it. And our issues are what they are hungry for. Not only the students, but really everyone else, if they think about it and we present them right. First words out of my mouth, because I have the honor of introducing Governor Johnson, is to university students, you know, I have bad news for you. I'll be as gentle as I can, but you're bankrupt. And it's true, and they know it. And then you tell them the truth, which they must face, we all must face, that for every dollar the federal government now spends, what? We're borrowing 31 cents or printing it. And no company could possibly do that and stay in existence. No household could possibly do that without going through bankruptcy. And let me tell you a secret, we say, neither can any country. And it's my generation, I say with despair, it's my generation that has done this. It's my generation that has been so financially irresponsible. We have put our children into that position and our grandchildren are bankrupt. So we as libertarians need to speak the truth. We heard Carla, of course, and she's right about government spending. We all know that. But I have a suggestion. You know, instead of saying this and saying that and being combative, I found the best way in discussions as well as just private individual discussions, that instead of asserting various things, ask questions. Just ask questions. Nobody will argue with you if you just ask reasonable questions. And the questions are not hard. For example, how many of you believe the federal government has all the answers? Okay? I've never gotten anyone to raise their hands on that. So then, let me ask you another question. You parents, for example, huge issue. How many of you believe that you are in a better position as the parents to decide where and how your children should be educated than the federal government. They all understand that. Well, do we have a deal for, let's allow the parents to be able to choose where and how their children should be educated. And now you've got them. Yeah, they'll be nodding their heads. These are libertarian issues. School vouchers, I don't care what you call them, school scholarships, school choice, whatever you want to call it, the result is the parents get to choose, and the parents will demand excellence. And you know what else? They'll get excellence. These are our issues, but you begin by asking them questions. How about this one? How many of you would like your health care to be run by the Department of Motor Vehicles? Okay? It's true. And the answer is, look, let's allow people that can take care of themselves to get the government out of it completely. Now, I have a benefit in my discussion of this because I'm older than almost everybody here and usually older than anyone else that I'm talking to. And I can say, you know, I was raised in the 50s, up to the middle 60s. And it wasn't even a topic of conversation that we cannot find reasonable health care for reasonable prices. Just wasn't on the radar. We had the best health care system in the world. We weren't closing emergency rooms. We had all we want. But then the government starts getting involved, intruding. First with Medicare, and then it just keeps getting more and more. They're dictating what doctors will do. They're dictating what insurance companies must cover. They're dictating prices. And now look at it. And then you extend that and say, look, you know, today Medicare, a lot of healthcare professionals, because they continue to reduce the compensation, the reimbursement to healthcare professionals, a lot of healthcare professionals are not taking Medicare anymore. And it will only get worse. So this Obamacare, this Affordable Care Act, so-called, no. We're going to supposedly give insurance to 30 million Americans that do not have health care insurance now. Oh, that sounds wonderful. But nobody in the healthcare profession is going to take it. So what good is that? People will begin to understand these things. But we have a problem. I think we have a substantial problem, and it's only fair with friends to talk about it. We have baggage as a Libertarian Party for one reason or another. I don't know why. People think, oh, we're kind of out there. We're kooks. We're against all this sort of thing. We have to change our image. And in fact, I'll tell you a story. What if you were a car dealership and you decided to yank all of your sales force off the floor and put the engineers on the floor to sell the cars? That's the Libertarian Party. Sorry, but it's true. So we're part of a movement. And actually, it's not through the Libertarian Party. We have some people that are really connected in Hollywood with the movie industry, television industry. We're going to raise a lot of money, and we are going to hire the best marketing firm we can. Hopefully not libertarians, so they don't have any vested interest in anything, and tell them what's going on and have them give us recommendations upon how we can best market the Libertarian Party. Because we've got the personnel, we've got the ideas, we have the approach, but we don't have the marketing. So that's at least some of our plan. My personal opinion, I just gained 2 weeks ago. I was at the Libertarian Convention for California in Sacramento. They had one young man talking to the group, and he said something that just really hit me between the eyes. Yes, we have a Statue of Liberty in the United States of America, and bless that. But we should also have a statue of responsibility. Because we are branded, yes, as the party of liberty, libertarians, freedom, all of which I don't need to tell you how important that is. But most people feel that that means, anything goes. You know, freedom, you know, I can just do whatever I want to. The answer is no. No, freedom is accompanied by responsibility. So my 2 bits worth is, we should be known as the party of responsibility. People are ready, are hungry, are anxious, finally, to have some responsibility in Washington and around the nation. I also think that we really must have an issue. And I'm quarreling now with Governor Johnson and our campaign. I don't think the slogan, "Live Free," resonates. I don't think it takes us anywhere. I believe it deeply. But what does it mean? A secret that I have learned, and I think you share this, is that pretty much everybody that goes to the polls has consciously or unconsciously, subconsciously, the question, what's in it for me? Okay? I think that's the way people think. And Live Free is not going to put food on my table. It's not going to bring the troops home from Afghanistan. It's not going to bring marriage. Whatever their issues are, Live Free won't do it. But the party of responsibility might very well. But even that, I think that's what our party should be known as. But I would suggest, and this is just me, I would suggest that we adopt an issue, just like some of the questions that were just asked. And I think the issue should be health care. I think the issue should be health care. Everybody in the country is now concerned about this. The table is set wonderfully for us because the Affordable Care Act doesn't work. And people are beginning to understand it at every level. You may have heard that, I think it was the Pipe Fitters Union recently, came out against the Affordable Care Act. But we've got to have something to replace it with. And I think that we do. Now, I am writing a weekly column. I'm trying to rebrand the Libertarian Party, at least within my own limited means. And my column is called The Functional Libertarian. I know libertarians are functional, but I think we need to bring that about. And then I also draw the distinction. I say, look, of course libertarians believe in government. You know, I don't want the state of Washington necessarily to have borders that they're imposing tariffs against the state of Oregon. You know, I think that we need that concept. And we need a military, etc. But the difference between libertarians and others are that libertarians believe as government is the last resort instead of the first resort. And that takes us pretty far home to where we want to be. And people will understand that. It's a marketing issue. It's the last resort instead of the first resort. And then if we go to health care, we just say, once again, get the government completely out of our lives regarding health care for those of us that can take care of ourselves. And I would venture to say that pretty much everybody in this room and most people that I speak with are in that camp. And then what about the others? Because it's only fair and important, critically important to us, that we show we care about those that cannot take care of themselves. And I also say, by the way, look, this is graphic and I mean it to be that way, I tell them. If you were bleeding on the street, right here, I have no legal obligation to help you. None, unless of course I caused your injury. But I will because I want to. And I tell them personally, you know, I was in the Peace Corps. I care about people, and that's usually enough where at least now they're with me. I will because I want to. It's different from a philosophy standpoint, but I think most people, libertarians and others, care about people. We will because we want to. So let's have a program in which, maybe on private contract, we will have government clinics to take care of those that cannot take care of themselves. Such as, you know, it's not going to be insurance. We're going to pay our money, and it will be expensive. We'll pay the money as to paying for doctors, nurses, medicines, and hospitals, instead of bureaucracy, administration, and fraud. Oh, you might say, that's socialized medicine. I say, you know, call it what you will. I lived for 4 years under this system, and it worked pretty well in that great socialistic enterprise called the United States Navy. And it worked. In fact, my son was born in the Naval Hospital in Guam. Parenthetically, by the way, we always threatened to call him Guamo, but we named him after my father instead, much to his pleasure. But, you know, yes, we need to have remedies. The remedies best are, obviously, in the private sector, getting the government out of our way. But there are going to be those residuals. And then you tell folks, look, again, when I was being raised, we had, like, the French hospital, charitable hospitals that were there to take care of folks that could not take care of themselves. But every step the government takes forward, the private organizations, NGOs, etc., take 2 steps back. Let's bring the private sector back in through the charitable hospitals, through the better nature of various doctors, etc., and get the government back out of our lives. So I think people will be receptive to that. Now there's one more thing that I do, and that is I try to make it fun. We need to get the word out. I frequently ask, I'm not going to ask you because this is the Libertarian Convention, but I ask, how many people here are not libertarians? And never enough hands go up. Never enough. I say, you know something? It's a trap. It doesn't help. If we sit around and agree how smart we are, it isn't going to get anything done. We've got to get the word out to other people. And so one way you can do this is to make it fun, and I usually bring along something. We can make it a t-shirt. I've written several books, so I happen to have one of them here. And I say, I'm going to conduct an auction, and you can do this. I'm going to conduct an auction, but not the way you think. I'm going to select one topic. For example, education. School choice, allowing the parents, again, to choose and demand excellence. And if you will bid to me that I will take a chapter of your book that will talk about education and school choice, how many people will you forward that to in your electronic world? Your emails, your Facebook, whatever. Do I bid, anybody bid 50 names?
300.
300, okay. I will. In fact, why not? Got the book right here. I've got 300 names. Will anybody bid more than 300 to send the words about education, free choice, out to at least more than 300 people? Will anyone say 350? 350. Anybody say 400? Nobody knows it. 400 back there in the back. How about 500? That's a nice round number. Huh? Facebook counts. My record. My record was 5,000, so you still have a ways to go, Michael. But you know, oh, does Facebook count? Say again?
40,000.
40,000, all right. Talk about health, talk about education. Okay. We can do that. Does anybody say 42,000? Yes? 45,000 names. We will send 45,000 messages about our libertarian approach to education. By the way, you're worried about women's issues? Education is it. They care about educating their children. This will bring flocks, droves. What, I don't know if the droves of women. Googles of women, you know. We will get our message out. This is the way to do it. So I'm at 45,000. Can anybody beat that? I will sell this for 45,000 bids to this man back here. You know, yes. We can do this. It's so exciting. You go around the country and people meet me at the airports. You know, they're good, dedicated people. They'll drive us around. They will spend their own money, their own time and energy. We have very good people all around the country that are libertarians, that believe in us. And it's quite a responsibility when I am running and representing you. Both the governor and I take it seriously. There just aren't enough of them, but there should be. We are in a position to be able to help this country of ours. These are our issues, and our issues resonate. You know, for heaven's sake, we're usually seen as, like Carla said earlier, kind of Republicans ultra or something. But they don't get it. You know, I talk to folks. We're close to the Move On movement. We really are. You know, I tell folks, you know, I was a federal prosecutor. I prosecuted bank executives for fraud against the government. We believe in responsibility at all levels of society. Oh yeah, that's a good, yes. You know, we don't believe in crony capitalism, the idea of paying people to drill for oil, paying people to grow or not grow crops. No, we're not going to, oh yeah, well then we got the Tea Party. No one can accuse Barack Obama of having liberal values at all. Barack Obama has embraced the Patriot Act as his own. the full frontal assault on our civil liberties. He has embraced it as his own. And we say we will repeal the Patriot Act. No one will say Barack Obama has liberal values when, with the National Defense Authorization Act, where any of us, citizens or not, could be detained, translation, arrested, held indefinitely without trial, and even rendered, it's called, sent to a foreign country, they'd probably be tortured. He signed it. Libertarians would repeal this attack on our civil liberties. We are classic liberals. People must understand this. No one in our country will be surveilled by these drones absent a judicial warrant. We were in Tampa the week before, the Saturday before the Republican National Convention, transparently, obviously, trying to woo the Ron Paul supporters, etc. There were headlines in the Tampa Tribune that Saturday before the Republican National Convention. Front page headlines saying the Obama administration says that they're not going to have drones surveilling people in Tampa during the Republican National Convention. Message, that's the exception? Normally they do? We say, no, we are classic liberals. Come to the Libertarian Party. We are classic conservatives, have conservative values. Will reduce the government spending, intrusion, cost. Come to the Libertarian Party. Just a question of getting them out there. So I appreciate the opportunity. It's a good turnout here. Thank you for inviting me. It's an absolute privilege to be able to be with you, share some thoughts. Go get them. Good luck to us all, and thank you. Thank you. That's nice. Thank you. Thank you so much. No extra charge. If there are questions, and we have